Brynmoor, a lush green land full of wildlife, is where our long journey begins. Once, this land was home to a thriving human community, guided by the god of balance, Guthix. But it doesn't take long to see that danger surrounds every inch of this place. Ruins litter the land. Goblins are on patrol night and day, and dragons have taken control of the entire continent of Ashenfall. General Velgar personally oversees Brynmoor as well as Gornfell to the north. To understand where our adventure begins, let's go back and explore how it all started. Back before even the first age, when the Elder Gods first created Gielinor, they noticed some of its anima was wild and impure. They wanted to create a way to purge this imperfection from the world, and so the Elder Gods created Ashenfall. The whole continent would act as a giant vent, exhausting all the impure anima out of the world. Ashenfall's very purpose of ventilating anima has been the cause of various discoveries, civilizations, wars, and powerful creations throughout the years, not just in Ashenfall, but all of Gielinor. In the first age, Guthix, the god of balance himself, came to Ashenfall with some of his human followers. The very lands fascinated Guthix, while being somewhat unsettling to those he brought with him. The anima vents changed the wildlife to something wrong, something natural yet unnatural at the same time. Animals took on the attributes of the plants. Rocks floated across the horizon, and anima vents spewed out of the ground. It's as if Ashenfall takes something and twists it, infusing it with magic, not destroying it, not even harming it, but making it different. Perhaps, in time, that might happen to us. I think I would suit a beard made of leaves. These floating rocks in particular had gotten Guthix's attention. He experimented over and over again with them. He knew they had to be of some magical use. We knew he was serious when he brought the great stone with him. Power radiates from it, and there's a pressure to it, like it's the wall of a dam, and it's about ready to burst. But it worked, and Guthix laughed with glee when he bound the very air itself into the rock. He gave it to me, and I cast my first spell, a miracle in the palm of my hand. Glory to Guthix. Bringing the Stone of Jazz to Ashenfall, Guthix was able to bind the power of the air into these rocks. Gifted these newly created runes, his followers were able to use the power of the elements. With nature itself bending to the will of mankind, things were looking good for those who have come with Guthix to this new land. Bramblemead Village was in its early days, but growing, and the walls were made stronger, almost indestructible, through the power of runes. The land of Ashenfall, however, does not just give power freely. Guthix left Ashenfall to share his discoveries with the rest of Gielinor. During this time away, the villagers started to be affected by the land in the same way the wildlife was. Hair became leaves. Skin started to glow. The very elements of the land almost infused with the flesh of those in Bramblemead Valley. Amalgamated. That is what these people became known as. To be amalgamated was to be outcasted at best and murdered at worst. Tensions rose between those who were changed by the lands and those who were not. Eventually, this led to what was known as the Schism, where the amalgamated were persecuted and killed en masse. Guthix eventually came back to Ashenfall, where he learned what had taken place in his absence. Horrified by what these people who followed him were capable of, he abandoned the land. Our hatred must have been like a poison to him, to see this tranquil home we had created fall to bitter infighting and needless hate, for there is nothing so human as to despise. He took a small number of his most devout followers who had not taken part in the schism and left. In his absence, he left the Wild Knights. This order would protect all people, amalgamated or not, as well as protect the land. Guthix attempted to hide Ashenfall, placing a veil over it. Despite this, it didn't take long for it to be discovered by the Dragonkin, as well as the Garou and their goddess Logrim. In the early days, neither faction bothered the humans of Brynmoor much, although the humans were jealous that the Garou had their goddess, when their god had abandoned them. Combine that jealousy with the fact that these are the very people who just persecuted their neighbors simply for looking different, and you can understand the tension that was brewing underneath everything. We were abandoned. They were not. Aren't we more deserving than the beasts? I pray that we are found worthy again, that a god reaches their gaze towards us and recognizes what we've created. Ashenfall deserves to be a human nation. I refuse to let it fall to animals. Despite this tension, there was a mostly peace for the rest of the First Age, as well as the Second Age, or at least there's little record to suggest major problems. At the turn of the Third Age, and the start of the God Wars on the mainland, things would change. Saradominist missionaries would leave the mainland in search for a place of peace. Little did they know that they would be the very reason for starting another war. These priests would find Ashenfall and make an encampment in the Temple Woods, just west of Bramblemead Village. Over time, the priests would move out of their tents and start to join the village. As a slow merging of two peoples would happen, the Saradominists started construction of a temple of Saradomin. Slowly, those abandoned by Guthix would be converted. During this time, Bramblemead Valley would thrive. The Runecrafting Guild to the northwest would explore the discoveries of magic and runes. The Adventurers Guild to the east would gather all of the strongest and most capable to face down the most dangerous beasts. And the Keep of Blue Flames was constructed to the north, where a lord was appointed by the Saradomin priests. All the while, the Wild Knights would defend the lands, as well as the people. The Runecrafting Guild was a mesh of both Guthixians and Saradominists. The members would wear a symbol on their robes, signifying what god they follow, but would work together in relative harmony to discover new secrets of the world. The Wild Knights would do their best to protect all in Brynmoor, as Guthix had wanted. Even the most cast-out people would be cared for under the watch of the Wild Knights. One boy, Ulf, was shunned by the village for his quiet nature. One day he was attacked by bandits and left for dead. It was a Wild Knight who saved him and took him under his wing. Eventually, Ulf would take up the mantle himself and protect any soul, no matter how unfortunate. This was tested one day when a necromancer, Ravana, found Brynmoor while trying to escape from pirates. She was ready to fight to the death when Ulf saved her life. These two would become inseparable, and they play an important role in the history of Ashenfall as a whole, so remember these names, Ulf and Ravana. Not all was perfect, however. The Garou-human tension was on the rise. Zamarakian cultists were slowly taking control under the nose of the Saradominist priests. Resources were becoming scarce, and worst of all, cats were being abandoned on the streets out of fear that they would take up crossbows and lead a rebellion. No one in the castle knows what I am. They barely know who I am. I walk these walls as a shadow, forgotten and unseen by all who dwell within. Priests, nobles, and gurning knights. None of them know that I am a child of darkness, a servant of shadows, within the Duke's court. The scarcity of resources led many to head north, through the Whispering Swamp, and into Gornfell, where the Garou had a domain. As the Saradominists stripped the lands of Gornfell of its natural resources, the Garou would defend the land. While this typically didn't lead to any major casualties, it only grew the tension between the two factions, until one day, a Garou prince was cut down in one of these fights. As one of the amalgamated, Kessel's skin glowed like burning coals. Her battle scars resembled faint reddish embers. She harnessed this heat, channeling it through her sword. Her magic set the blade ablaze, a sight that struck terror into the hearts of her enemies. With great arcs of red flame, she cleaved through enemy forces, incinerating them as she severed their limbs from their bodies. On one fateful day, She would use this technique against a force of Garou hunters. The battle was long, hard, and brutal, and both sides faced great casualties. But it was when she sliced her blade across the young Garou prince that war was inevitable. Now all-out war had begun between the humans and the Garou. Casualties grew on both sides. One fateful day, Ulf the Wild Knight, who was saved as a young boy, would be one such casualty. This would drive Ravana into a revenge-driven rage, which would have massive repercussions on the continent. For now though, we're focusing on Brynmoor, so I will just go to say as far as this: his death utterly broke her. As the war went on, the Whispering Swamp acted as a natural barrier between the lands of Brynmoor and Gornfell. Neither side wanted to cross this cursed swamp, causing an eventual stalemate. For the humans, this would not be sustainable. They had to get out of Brynmoor and secure the excess resources of Gornfell. This led the Saradomanists to look for a diplomacy with Bandos, the god of war. Bandos, hearing about Logrim, was eager to accept. He had a long grudge against Logrim and her Garou for something that happened long ago in another world. Bandos brought with him a goblin army to help the humans overrun the Garou. Despite being weak, they overwhelmed the Garou on numbers alone. This relentless assault continues through the day and the night. As we rest, their sacrifice continues. As we tire, they gain ground. When we sleep, they push forward. We are losing this war, and it is not because of strength. Eventually, the moon goddess Logrim would seek help from the Dragonkin, who came to Ashenfall around the same time she did. The Dragonkin and their horrific creatures would quickly turn the tide of war. Worms and dragons now joined the fight alongside the Garou. Bandos would fight one of these dragons, Velgar, but lose due to his hubris. Now, with no god to defend them, the humans were devastated by the Garou and their dragon army. Logrim, on the back of one dragon, with two dragonkin at her side, would attack Bramblemead Valley directly. But now their goddess rides atop a scaled nightmare, flames for breath and swords for fangs. Beside her came two creatures I had never seen before, scaled, winged, wicked like the great beast the goddess rode on. Around one was a halo of fire, and the other was rimmed with frost, scribbling a tally of our deaths in its journal. Eventually, there was a truce agreed to between the Garou and the humans, after it was clear what the outcome would be. The dragons were chained back up to be slaves for the Dragonkin, and Logrim would allow herself to be experimented on as payment for their assistance. With the newfound peace between the factions, some humans decided to look for new land to settle, leaving behind Brynmoor entirely. The Garou allowed them to pass through unharmed, although there was still tension in the air. One of those who looked for another life elsewhere would be Ravana, although still full of rage for the loss of her closest friend. Eventually, the Dragonkin experiments on Logrim would lead to the creation of Coldra, the five-headed dragon. Coldra would lead the dragons in rebellion against their creators eventually, and win. She consumed the Dragonkin and the moon goddess Logrim, earning her the name God Eater. She gifted new powers to her fellow dragons, and then together they destroyed the continent of Ashenfall. Velgar with his new powers ravaged Brynmoor, bringing ruin to the village. The goblins, abandoned by Bandos, started to worship Velgar as their new god. Their banners are now altered to show who they see as their true big high war god. The villagers are no more, and all of the surrounding buildings have been destroyed. For ages, the dragons have ruled Ashenfall. Brynmoor, nothing but ruins patrolled by goblins. Wildlife has taken over again, and the land is hidden from outsiders. Or at least, it was, until the death of Guthix. Now, in the 6th Age, an expedition has set off in search for a new land, and they have found it. Attacked by dragons, the expedition seemed like it was cut short, but it has only begun. A lodestone was repaired, and a message sent out. Adventure is needed, new land to explore, and riches to find. You answered that call, and now you are here at the Temple of Saradomin in Brynmoor, ready to uncover secrets and put an end to the dragon's reign over Ashenfall. Thank you so much for watching. It's been quite a while since I made a video, so I apologize that production quality isn't exactly up to standard. I hope to improve as I go through each of the lore of every zone in Dragonwilds. Next up will be Fell Hollow. Until next time, adventurers.